right, everybody. Thank you for joining this session. I made it in kind of a theme about magic and upgrading to Cognos Analytics. And the saying is that all magic comes with a price, and this is dairy. But let's go over it. So if we look at Cognos 11.11, and I've seen several presentations here, and they look gorgeous, looks magical, but also you want to go to that platform and use the new capabilities. That's why we're here, right? It's a beautiful platform. It's robust. It's tough. So we want to use those capabilities that are delivered in 11.11. But as we know, there's this guy. This guy is the dark side. The dark side of going to that new magical Cognos Analytics. And what is the dark side of going there? Well, that's the upgrade, right? And the upgrade can be very painful because we have asked a lot of customers, tell me more about your content store. And it turned out that 50% of the Cognos customers have more than 4,000 reports in their content store. They have hundreds and thousands of objects. A BICC manages about 100 packages, 150 data sources. So if you want to go to Cognos 11.1, you have to test it. You want to be sure that everything works fine, and that's very labor intensive. So how expensive and how difficult is your upgrade going to be? And what can we do, to come over that, problem? And that's probably why you're here, right? So we're trying to find this happily ever after, right? That if you have done your upgrade, it's not that difficult, and you can use that magical Cognos 11. So we need a savior, right? We need somebody who's going to help you to overcome this problem. And what we have seen, and we have done this with IBM Lab Services many, many times, and there are a few key factors that I want to share with you. And the first thing is clean up, right? Clean up, reduce your scope. And you can all hear, right? I'm not from America, I live in Dallas, but I'm from the Netherlands. And when I moved from the Netherlands to Dallas, I had to ship all my stuff, right? But on every box, there was a $sign. So I needed to clean up my garage and everything that I did before I moved. But we all know that we're going to make mistakes. So we need a safety net. So if we delete something and a consumer comes to you and says, hey, you deleted that report, where is it? You should be able to roll it back instantly. So it's very important to reduce, but also to have a safety net. And the second part is the testing. The testing is a burden, because if you have 4,000 reports, and maybe you cleaned up, you went back to 2,000, you still have to test 2,000 reports. If they have parameters, you don't want to test in variations, right? So maybe you will end up with 5,000 test cases. How do you do that? Impossible to do it manually. So what we want to do is bring back that burden of testing by finding those parameters automatically, schedule that, and actually tell you where the problems are. So this report has a problem, whether it's in performance, whether it's in the data or the layout. But even there's a problem in the data, and it's a very complex report with 10 containers, 15 queries in it, we can point exactly to its query number 7. There is the problem. Don't look at all the other queries, they're fine. And then finally, you have to go through this repair, and then what we want to do, bring that to the new production environment. So we want to label all the repairs that are all over the content store, and then deploy them with one click. And then, of course, we have the rapid release. So we don't want to do it every quarter, right? So how can we make it easy that it's not a project, but it's a task? So the savior is the Cognos Ninja, who's going to help you. So let me explain to you how that works. So the Cognos upgrade is all about make it efficient. So we automate. We try to automate every single step of the process, so you don't do things manually. We want to manage the quality and the accuracy. We want to make sure that the platform performs. We want to make sure that the project is as short as possible. And of course, we want to have a manageable and controlled project. So you're always in control as a project manager, so you know what's going on, and you don't have to go back to your steering committee for more budget, or you're not meeting your deadlines. So what are the steps that we go through to make this successful? So we prepare and assess and make an inventory. How big is your content store, right? So how many reports do you have? We go we narrow the scope by cleaning up, and then we go through this agile cycle of assessing, repair, test, assess, repair, test, till everything is working fine, and then we go live. And it's a proven practice. And one of the largest banks in the US, they deleted about 75% of their content and went live. They did it in 12 months, from 8 to 10. They did it in 3 months, from 10 to 11. And that's major. So we want to find all these old reports, not working reports, reports that have not been used for years. If they're called archive, _old, let's find them, let's delete them. And then what we do is, it's not showing up nice. So then what we do is that we make business test cases. So we group them in groups of 300 test cases that we can run and find out if everything works fine. So we make test projects, test cases for that. And SPR is a consultancy firm that does testing for one of another large bank in America, and they said it's only a fraction of the time that it costs to set up these test cases. It's all through wizards. And then we test them on value, format, and we test on performance. Well, some of you might not care about the shifting of some pixels, but if you print barcodes with Cognos, you do. So we can say it's a warning, or we could say it's a failure. Okay, so what are the steps that we are taking? We use the sandbox methodology. So what we do is we have a sandbox, and in this example, it's 10-2-2. So we start with this fully prepared Cognos sandbox, and what we do is we make a baseline. So we make a baseline, and then we upgrade to Cognos 11.11. And what we do then is we run those test cases again, and we evaluate what's wrong. So we run them in 10, we run them in 11, and the MotioCI application will tell you exactly which report is failing or has problems or is not performing well. So instead of going look for 3,000 reports, it will tell you these 300 reports need to be reviewed. Look at these 300 reports, and this is wrong with it. So you save a lot of time in the whole operation. So MotioCI and MotioCI Pro are delivered in the box to upgrade to Cognos 11.1. And what does that mean? Well, so if you download Cognos 11.1, it will be in the installer. If you cannot find it, you can come to us, and we can provide you with the software so you can use it for your upgrade. And when you get the software, well, you need a key, so we'll deliver you the key, and we'll help you to get up and running. We have a lot of materials, videos, methodology for you to make this an easy upgrade. And then, if you have any questions, we are here to actually help you to go through that process. Because, in the end, it's about the freedom to delete. It's about enlarging the scope of testing and not go to your end users or go to the business and say, you have to test this, or you have to do this for me. No, as a BICC or BI team, you can do that yourself, automated. You don't want to be like my IT man when we moved from Outlook to Google Mail, and he said, Edwin, you have to test all your attachments. Like, I cannot do that, right? I don't have time for that. So we should facilitate that for the end users. We should do that. It's a very efficient methodology, yeah? And you can save a lot of time with that. But also, if the next quarterly release of IBM is available and you want to implement that, you can reuse all those test cases. You can kick it off on a Friday, look back on a Monday, and see, okay, are there any problems? No, let's plan to go live. And don't go to a project again, but then it's more a task. So there are 2 more sessions later on. Paul Rivera from IBM Lab Services, he will present at 5:30. And IBM Lab Services has used this methodology and MotioCI and MotioCI Pro several times at customers. So if you want to hear his experience, go to that session. And Greg McDonald, he had a session this morning, but also tomorrow, more technical session, what has been changed in Cognos and how to do it more from a technical perspective. So I recommend that session as well. So I'm here, and the Motio team is here to work on your happy upgrade, right? So make it a happy experiment, and then next time, do it very, very quickly. Okay. Normally, then, you open up for questions, but I have some questions for the audience. So who actually thinks that this would help them? Come forward, because somebody thinks it's going to help them. They should have a bottle of whiskey, right? But who actually has used MotioCI? Somebody want to come forward and share their experience, because there's something for that person as well. Nobody wants to talk about that? I cannot even.
We use it.
You use it?
Yeah.
Do I really have to give them two? So, but what was your experience?
It was incredibly helpful going from 10.2.2 to 11. We were able to do it in total testing time about a week, and we have a very large content store, and we continue to plan on using it because it was so successful going forward.
Yeah, they're very good. So a week, right? And you guys have a pretty large environment. So if you can bring the time back down to a week, and just imagine what that means from a perspective of an end user, right? Normally, if this project will take months, and they ask for a new dashboard, they've asked for an upgrade, a new report, or changes, and you say, no, we're busy upgrading, we have no time for you. Or you do it in that short time, and you can deliver faster. That's what we want, right? Because upgrading is an IT thing, right? It's something we have to do, but the end user, it's not. They will use the new capability, but the product itself, they don't care about that. So, well, thank you very much for sharing that that experience with the team. Any questions from the audience?
How it is different from the Lifecycle Manager? Why I need to go for Motio?
So why should you use MotioCI and not Lifecycle Manager? So Lifecycle Manager is very useful if you have a few reports and you want to test it very quickly. MotioCI is an application that you have to install, has its own database. But MotioCI does much more. So the cleanup is the safety net. So it versions everything in your environment. So if you make mistakes, you can roll it back. But also from a product management perspective, you see exactly what's going on. We deliver MotioCI with a package and Cognos reports, so you can always report over that. So you have business intelligence over business intelligence. So Lifecycle Manager is for very small organizations, which would help. But if you're over 500 reports, I think even over 100 reports, then this is way helpful. The second thing is, if you make repairs, you can label them, and you can do a one-click deployment. And there's no deployment in Lifecycle Manager. So the IBM Lab Services team, they use MotioCI when they go to you. So if you're calling the Lab Services team and say, can you help me? They say yes, and they will bring MotioCI. Yeah.
So further on that, you said you can deploy it. So when we went from 10 something to 10.2.2, we had all these reports that were very similar, and so it was the same problem for every single one. So I was just going into each one and fixing them. So is that what you're saying, that like if it identifies a problem in one, it can fix it on the others?
And that's a very good point. Sometimes you find problems that occur in one report. Sometimes you find problems in Java or other problems that occur in a lot of reports. So do you have to open every single report every time to fix it? No, you can do that en masse. So you have the capabilities to search and replace, find this problem all over the content store, then change it, then retest it automatically with MotioCI again, and then you know, okay, these reports has been updated. Well, they should be brought to the new production environment, right? So you need to know, what did we change, where did we where did we repair it? So we have to label that, but at the same time, we have to do that en masse, right? So we saw that with people that went from Windows to Linux, and the backslash changed. We saw it with people who had Java problems, and we can find that little piece and replace it with all over the content store. It's all about efficiency, so you're right. Yeah.
One more question is, like, my admin team uses like Meta Manager for some of the
Mm-hmm.
admin tasks. So do you have the same features in this tool, like restore, package model?
Yeah, so the capabilities that are in Motio Pi Pro is to search and replace, to find problems, to work on packages, update packages. So all the mass updates that you have to do are in Motio Pi Pro. It's an administrative tool that you download. It runs on the desktop. MotioCI is the testing tool. So it's version control, testing, and deployment, all in one to facilitate your sandbox and to test if everything is going to work fine between 10 and 11. Then capture all those changes that you made over time and then deploy them to your new production environment. Yeah. And some customers have different strategies. Sometimes they upgrade their Cognos 10 environment. Sometimes they build up new technology and reinstall Cognos. But that's just a little change in the strategy, and we can help you with that. What would be the best steps to take in that case? All right. Any other questions? So come by with the booth, and for everybody who is here, we have a happy upgrade t-shirt. Some are already wearing them, so that's great. So feel free, here's the team, and thank you so much for joining.